the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS podcast with hosts Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What's going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome to the Better Baseball MLB DFS live stream here. We are live today. We have a little 11 games, I think it is, James, on the main slate here
I think so,
tonight.
no.
There's like 40 games being played, but we only have 11 on the main slate. A bunch of 640 games kicking off today that are not on the main slate on DraftKings or FanDuel. But it is, listen, I did the playbook today. It was a busy day here over at Fantasy Alarm. I did the RT Sports, Real-Time Sports, DFS Pick'em video today. I did the MLB Best Bets video today. I was over on Mean Streets doing talking a little football earlier today. I did the playbook here today, and now I am here with the MLB DFS live show. And this 11 gamer is an absolute banger. There are a ton of offenses in ridiculously good spots, and there's a handful of pitchers, two at the top that are in very good spots. There's a value pitcher that Vegas absolutely adores here this evening that I think are going to make it pretty interesting and easy to get to some of those top pitching options here tonight. Whether you're on DraftKings or FanDuel, it is going to be a fun slate to build. There's a lot of different ways. But I did a playbook today. You and I like to try to sometimes like trim it down a little bit. It was hard to do, and I didn't actually do a good job at it. There's a lot of players. There's a lot of players on the cheat sheet here today. There's like 8 stacks. We could just rebrand this show today, the Minnesota Twins MLB DFS live stream, because Lance Lynn's numbers against lefties are atrocious. So we'll get into all of that today.
We might as well pack it. We might as well pack it up.
There's a lot to talk about here today while everybody slowly starts to work their way into today's show here. It is Friday. It's the
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. TGIF, for those who are old enough to remember.
Good restaurant. Had my first date there with my now wife.
Yeah, they used to give you like Sundays when you were a child and like the kids menu. It wasn't like Friendlies who gave it at, but it was like everything else. So, just a lot going on here today.
A lot going on for sure. Again, happy Friday, happy almost weekend. Not that the weekend matters to us, John. We got plenty going on here at Fantasy Alarm over the weekend. But yeah, an interesting slate. I would say, one of the better 11-game slates overall in terms of depth on both sides of the baseball. Like you mentioned, pitching is deep, especially when you have good value at pitcher, or what feels like good value, or what should be good value. It feels pretty good on the offensive side of things as well. So, this is a fun slate, and let's start getting into things here.
Yeah, we got real-time fantasy sports again. You see the code right down there on the screen. 100% deposit match for new users when they sign up. rtsports.com/alarm. Promo code alarm23 will get you 100% deposit match up to $200. We kick off every show here giving our favorite RT Sports props of the day. So, James, let's get to it. Over at Real Time Fantasy Sports, why don't you let everybody know what they can take advantage of when they go over there, James?
Yeah, so you guys want to play the Real Time Sports Daily Pick'em contest. So what you have to do is set a lineup of player props. And if you hit them all, you win. Plain and simple. Baseball, golf, basketball, football, you name it, they have it. First-time depositors get a 100% instant match up to $200 using code ALARM23, one word, ALARM23. Go to rtsports.com/alarm. And please play responsibly. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about some of our favorite plays today. Again, I did the RT Sports top video today. You can find that over at our Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel, on our Twitter. The number one play for me, and I had to check just to make sure it was still there, and it is. That is Mookie Betts over half a run scored here. More than half a run scored going up against Andrew Heaney. Andrew Heaney has been shelled by right-handed hitters all season long, and Mookie Betts against left-handed pitchers he's just hammering them. It's a ISO over 400, a slugging percentage over 700 against left-handed pitching. So you have Mookie Betts against Andrew Heaney. He leads off. You only need him to go more than or half a run. So that's the first entry into our pick today.
Love that. Up against Andrew Heaney, a good spot. I'm going to go Corbin Carroll. You can take, there's a plethora of props here. None better than 6.5 fantasy points that he could accomplish on a strikeout, John, because we've seen it. Like, he's got a strikeout. He reached there. Like, he could strike out, reach first, and then steal 2 bases, and you're over on 6.5. And plus, we get Ben Lively, who has a high fly ball rate against lefties. He's pitching in Great American here. So we're going more than 6.5 fantasy points for Corbin Carroll. This feels like taking candy from a baby. Not that I promote taking candy from a baby, but that's what this feels like.
Yeah, I actually like the more than half a run scored there too. So going the 6.5 fantasy points, like you mentioned, something that he can just pretty much do on his own.
Yes.
By himself, no problems there. Last play for me, the last entry I'm going to have in here, we're going to go down to that Houston-Oakland game. And we have the matchup for Houston against JP Sears. We have Kyle Tucker at 8 fantasy points. Tucker has been hammering left-handed pitching, despite the fact that he is a left-handed hitter. And we know Sears gives up a lot of home runs. Give me Tucker more than 8 fantasy points here tonight.
Entered. Bang. We're entered in.
There we go. Get a chance to 6x your money here tonight on RT Sports. So again, go to rtsports.com/alarm. New users who sign up will get a 100% deposit match up to $200 using promo code ALARM23. So that's our top RT Sports plays of the day. If you want a few more, you can go find the RT Sports Pick'em video I got out there over on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube. So RT Sports now aside here, let's talk a little DFS. Go on over to the DraftKings main slate here tonight. James, pitching. Up at the top, we talked about it. Ohtani and Framber Valdez are your top 2 guys, price-wise, matchup-wise, ceiling-wise, performance-wise, you name it. Your decision-making here tonight on DraftKings, you have Ohtani priced up more than Framber. If you play on FanDuel, they actually have Framber over Ohtani. I think they also have Joe Ryan over Ohtani over there as well. So, Ohtani a little bit more of a value on FanDuel here tonight. If you're on DraftKings tonight, which way are you going, Ohtani or Framber?
So they're also the highest 2 rostered pitchers tonight, which
Obviously.
I don't think surprises anybody. If you had to guess, John, who do you think's higher owned on DraftKings?
Framber.
By 6%.
Yeah, he's $300 cheaper.
I would probably just go with the guy, if you're playing a tournament, that's lesser owned of the 2. I think Pittsburgh, I don't know the answer to this question, who has the worst offense right now between Oakland and Pittsburgh, because that's how bad Pittsburgh's been. And Oakland did obviously get a little better, getting Soderstrom in the lineup, getting Geloff at the top of their lineup. Not that either have been great, but, they are better than they were. We're like, Pittsburgh should be better, but they're not. Like, Brian Reynolds has been awful.
Well, they're trending way down. Like they're regressing back to what their talent level actually is, not the 20-9 team.
So like, I think I'll take the ownership discount on Shohei Ohtani if it's going to be 6%. If it's going to be anything like close, I'd still probably take Ohtani, because I think strikeout upside is more frequent with Ohtani.
Sure.
I know Framber's been dominant against Oakland twice this year. I love them both. Like, if you want to play them both, we've toyed with the lineup on the podcast this morning. You guys could take a look at over on the Fantasy Alarm and Better Sports Network's YouTube channels. So you can do it both. I'll take Ohtani at the slight ownership discount.
Sure. So those are your top 2 guys. Like you mentioned, top 2 rostership guys here. I don't see a reason to play around with the other ones. Joe Ryan, Kodai Senga. I don't really see a reason to use them because like there's just like Framber and Ohtani are just in such elite spots. Like trying to save some money and pivoting off of them, it just feels like you're giving up too much potential for them. Now, if you want to pick one and pair with the other, you can do that. Double spend up. We did a double spend build on the podcast this morning using Ohtani and Framber, and we we were fine. We actually liked the lineup. And there's even more value to go around here today as I did the playbook and lineups started coming out. And I mentioned Minnesota to top off the show. It's all in Minnesota. A ton of value down in Minnesota here today. If you wanted to build some lineups and get some double spend up at starting pitching. If I'm going into the mid tier, the one guy I kind of had pegged in the playbook today was Ranger Suarez. Now, Cleveland doesn't strike out. They haven't struck out all season long. But after their little hot 2-week stretch, they've kind of started to come back down to earth and still struggling against left-handed pitching. On the season, they ranked 27th in WOBA. They have just a 238 batting average there against left-handed pitching as well, 22nd in baseball. But then even if you want to just look at, the last month here, really not much better. 222 batting average over the last 30 days. In terms of WOBA, they're 24th at a 289, 660 OPS. So they're really not doing any damage against left-handed pitching. But again, they're not striking out. So you need Ranger Suarez to give you 6 2/3, something like that. Maybe 3 or 4 strikeouts and maybe less than a run or a run score to kind of pay it off here. But I think Philly's in a good spot against Gavin Williams, and I like Ranger Suarez in the mid-tier today.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very interesting game overall because one team strikes out a lot and they're a really good offense. One team doesn't strike out and they're not a really good offense. Right. And I'm a little on the fence about Suarez only because he's not a strikeout guy to begin with. Just 62 strikeouts in 68 innings and now faces a team who doesn't strike out. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm against it, but we saw that play against Washington a few starts ago where he had 5 Ks, but labored through the start, 6 fantasy points. Miami doesn't strike out a lot against lefties, labored through it, 4 strikeouts. We know San Diego's actually good against lefties, 3 strikeouts.
I was going to say, you just mentioned 2 teams in Miami, Washington. Over the last 30 days, Miami's number 1 in WOBA, Washington's number 3 against lefties.
That's fair.
So they are basically the 2 best teams versus left-handed pitching, and we're looking at a bottom 5 team against left-handed.
Well, I'm just talking specifically in terms of strikeouts. Sure. Those are not teams that strike out all that much against left-handed pitching. Yeah. And Suarez is just, he does have 8. And so, he had a good stretch, 8, 7, 7, 8, 4 straight starts. So I guess there has been some, a better ceiling than we've seen in years past. But if it's 3 or 4 tonight and he doesn't go 6 2/3 of 1 run to no run baseball, then we're in trouble on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I think you can get away with it a little more when people have lower strikeout upside, just given all the extra bonuses you get over there. I'm on the fence because I agree with Cleveland's offense struggling. Outside of Josh Naylor, they've been pretty bad. And Naylor's lefty, so we have that advantage on the Suarez front. I just don't know if the 2 paired together generates enough strikeout upside for me to want to use in tournaments.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the mid tier because there's not a lot here that I love. Peralta against Atlanta's a no. Kikuchi versus Seattle, maybe. Lance Lynn against Minnesota. I already told you I actually really like Minnesota here tonight. Lynn does have one of the higher strikeout props on the board, but they put a lot of lefties in their lineup tonight. They got Willie Castro in there. They have Gallo in there. They have a 2K outfielder, Matt Wallner, hitting 5th tonight. Kirilov, Kepler, Julian. They're throwing out an entire lineup of lefties at Lance Lynn. And we'll get into the numbers when we dive over the hitters. I don't think I've seen higher numbers that Lynn for a pitcher versus split side here. Gonsolin against Texas, no. Lively versus Arizona, no. So if I was just looking at all the matchups, I'm Ranger Suarez kind of the best matchup of this group here. I just didn't care for it because the value I think is where we're going to live. Mm-hmm. Clark Schmidt, as I talked about, there's a pitcher in Vegas that Vegas loves, and Clark Schmidt's that guy. You'll go look at all of his props over in Vegas tonight, and it all has him under 2.5. 2.5 earned runs allowed is minus 150 on the under. 6.5 strikeouts was what his line was set at. 17.5 outs is what his line was set at with the minus 110 on the over. There was just a lot of good indicators that we'd be looking at Clark Schmidt tonight. But a baseline stat of 6 innings, 2 runs, 6.5 strikeouts, and he was plus 150 for a win, which was the 3rd best odds on the board. So you get him a win in there, and now you're looking at like 20 fantasy points out of a $6,200 pitcher. So Clark Schmidt is our probably top value starting pitcher on the slate here. We did identify him on the podcast this morning as the guy we wanted to go to, but Vegas is backing that all the way up.
Yeah, I mean, he's in a really good spot. You also look at the Royals and why he's such a big favorite. The Royals are half a game better than the A's for the worst road record in the MLB. They're 13-34, and the A's are 13-35. Like, if you're categorized with Oakland in any sense of the word, it's bad. And they're also, Kansas City is also 30th in WOBA, 29th in OPS against right-handed pitching. Schmidt has over a strikeout per inning. I love him. I will say, you and I have obviously done this show a lot and have targeted Lance Lynn with lefties a lot. And it would not surprise me in the slightest if he gave up 4 home runs to left-handed bats tonight. The Twins have 7 of them, I think, in their lineup, including switch hitters, or 6. It's 6 or 7. But he strikes a lot of people out, and the Twins strike out a whole bunch. Nobody more than the Twins strike out against right-handed pitching. And Lynn has 4 double-digit strikeout games on his resume this year. 1 in the Twins. Not that it matters. It was in April, like that.
Oh, that's what Mark's got in here. He struck out 10 in April. He also gave up 2 home runs in that game.
Yeah. I can see a scenario where, like, he strikes out 9 and gives up 4 earned runs, and 3 of them are home runs. Like, because he has given up a lot of home runs. He sucks against lefties.
I have the numbers. I have the numbers against lefties right here. So just on the season, his numbers against left-handed pitching: they have a 437 WOBA, a 649 slugging percentage. They're hitting 337 against him. He's allowed 17 home runs to left-handed hitters this year. He's allowed overall this year. He has allowed 24 home runs. So 24 of the 17 home runs allowed, 17 of the 24 home runs allowed have come against lefties, and obviously he faces way more righties than he does left-handed hitters. So they're just absolutely hammering him. And then you want to look at some of the batted ball numbers here. He gives up a 27% home run to 5 ball rate against left-handed hitters, 3.3 home runs per 9 to left-handed hitters. He has a 40% hard contact rate to lefties. Just a breezy here. Just let those home runs come to Kirilloff and Kepler, and I'm good. Certainly could be the way they go. I'm just saying, like, a lot of hard contact, a lot of home runs, a lot of everything going again. He has a 7 FIP against left-handed hitters. But he also, to everybody else's point in the chat and you as well, 10.6 K per 9 against left-handed.
That's crazy.
So, like,
dude.
If he is not missing bats, the ball is going over the fence. So, again, they threw 7 lefties in their lineup tonight. So, it could be a beautiful mess where he goes 6 innings, gives up 3 home runs, strikes out 10, and he has 19 fantasy points. Certainly could be true. But, you string some of those guys together, and all of a sudden it's a 3-run home run, and then it's a 3-run home run, and now he's dead. So that's just it. That's my only worry with Lance Lynn. I get why you want to play him, but we are talking about a guy with a 6 ERA on the year, right? It's crazy. Yeah, very proud of our Twins. Looked at the numbers before setting their lineup. I agree, Mark. Twins are here. They're also so free. Kirilloff 2,200, Kepler 26, Wallner's 2K, Julian's 3,100, Gallo I think is under 4K.
Julian's expensive. Holy cow, 3,100.
Yeah, like 31. Yeah, so like you can. They're my stack. They're my number 1 stack in the playbook, but they're like my number 2 stack because it lets you pay up for Ohtani and Framber if you wanted to, or Ohtani, Schmidt, twin stack plus Atlanta or something like that tonight. Like you can get there. So anyways, that's my soapbox moment here against Lance Lynn. I get why you and everybody in the chat is interested because that strikeout rate is ridiculous. And we've seen, especially on DraftKings, like you can give up some runs, but if you have a high strikeout total, it doesn't really matter. Like it just cancels them out. So
the field,
with you there,
John, the field, in case you wanted to know if this is going to change your opinion or further your opinion on the Twins. He is the 4th highest projected rostered pitcher today. And that's solely on the strikeouts. It is solely on the strikeout upside that he has. And again, but we do play devil's advocate. And I'm sitting here, I like Lance Lynn today. I'm not sitting here saying like he's my number one play. Like I'd rather just spend down on Schmidt or another guy that we could just talk about in a second, because I think there's another viable spend down at this in the same game as Clark Schmidt. Strikeouts are king on DraftKings. Yep. And he is, like you said, he has some of the best strikeout odds today. Yep. And he does have one of the highest strikeout ceilings on the entire slate. For a slate with 22 pitchers, for a guy with a 6 ERA, he has shown 4 times this year he struck double-digit guys out. So it is worth mentioning.
No, dude, he has a 16 strikeout game on his record. So like,
in a game, he gave up 4 runs, right? Or 3 runs and lost.
He gave up 3 runs in that one. So, I hear you. You're mentioning Marsh. I agree. Marsh could be an interesting guy coming off an 11 strikeout game. Actually had some decent strikeout numbers at the minor league level. And you want to talk about teams that are bad against right-handed pitching right now. The Yankees are dead last, I think, in WOBA over the last 30 days against righties. It's pretty bad. He's 5K. And then Cutter Crawford got put into the lineup over Paxton. I feel like this is like the second time that happened with Paxton. Mm-hmm. We did a show. Paxton gets bumped and it's somebody else. Crawford against the Cubs last time out, 6 innings, 1-hit baseball, 9 strikeouts for him. More importantly, I think, got up to 89 pitches in that start. So now 94 and 89 in 2 of the last 4 starts for him. I do like Cutter Crawford here. The Mets, a team, they don't really strike out a lot if you look at the numbers, but again, not really hitting the ball that well. Bottom half team in WOBA and average against righties. So
in July, the strikeouts have ticked up a little bit for the Mets, 22.3%. So there's a little wiggle room there.
Any other starters? Or did you want to dive more into Marsh or?
No, I just think Marsh is in play. I mean, given what the Yankees have done offensively, new hitting coach, they're struggling. Everything is bad with the manager. Everything's bad with the GM. I think there's upside for Marsh. And do I think the Yankees win this game? Yes. On the Better Sports Betting Show just before this, I bet Yankees money line plus Schmidt alt strikeout line, but I also bet the under 8.5 runs in that game. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of runs scored. And I think Alec Marsh at 5K, if playing multiple lineups, again, has 11 strikeout upside we just saw. So against a lineup that stinks, I know Yankee Stadium has historically been a park that people think, short porch, a lot of runs must be scored there. That really has not been the case this year. So I do think Alec Marsh at 5K could be a little interesting. I'm not saying he's my favorite value. I think Schmidt is still my favorite value. I think Cutter Crawford's right there, but Marsh at 5K. Getting 7% ownership, people are a little bit interested, but
last 2 weeks, Yankees 28th in WOBA, and they are, where are they? They are 24th in batting average at 218, 24% strikeout rate. So could be something from Marsh. It's just that the Yankees are big favorites here. So you're betting it on Marsh. I'd rather find the money to find Schmidt if I can, but if you can't, that's fine too. Let's go on over to hitters here. Starting at the catcher position for me. Will Smith, again, the numbers for Heaney against right-handed bats here are like Lance Lynn, but opposite. Lance Lynn got hammered by lefties, 17 home runs allowed to Lynn, by Lynn to left-handed bats. Well, Heaney's the other way around. Heaney on the season has a lot of total of 17 home runs, and every single one of them have come to right-handed hitters here. Another righty split stat here where they just are going in on him as well. 487 slugging, a 350 WOBA against him, two home runs per 9 allowed by Heaney to right-handed bats. And 17% home run to fly ball ratio, so not as bad obviously as Lance Lynn there, but definitely a guy prone to giving up the long ball to righties. So got a big power hitter in Will Smith here, and for me, I'll be looking at the righties in the Dodgers lineup tonight to get into some lineups here. So he's my top spend up.
Yeah, I think he's clearly the top spend up at catcher. You could obviously play Murphy if you're playing stacks of Atlanta. That's always profitable, apparently. Never not profitable, apparently,
Even if they're getting perfect gamed through 6 innings.
unless they're facing Ryan Nelson. Let's put that
Sure.
caveat out there. Ryan Nelson's their Achilles heel, apparently. I think after Smith, I would probably drop down to Francisco Alvarez. I know you just touted Cutter Crawford, and I think Cutter Crawford is pretty good. But Cutter Crawford has struggled with righties this year. 198 ISO allowed, 357 WOBA. That's 100 points better or worse, rather, than it is against lefties. And we know Francisco Alvarez's pedigree against right-handed pitching himself. 349 ISO, 396 WOBA. So I like the righty bats against Cutter Crawford tonight, particularly Francisco Alvarez. And then Blake Sable against Cole Irvin. Cole Irvin has been specifically bad against lefties this year. 161 ISO, 343 WOBA allowed. And Blake Sable coming into this game, having a really, really good stretch. Homered yesterday, is now has a 1100 OPS over his last 10 games, including 4 home runs. And he has a 216 ISO, which is second on the Giants, and a 365 WOBA on the year against righties. That leads the team. So
Sure.
in a lineup full of lefties that we think highly of against right-handed pitching, Blake Sable is the clubhouse leader in terms of WOBA. So betting on a guy against a guy who struggles against lefties and a guy who hits righties well, I really like Sable here with the multi-position eligibility.
Just a note on the Alvarez thing, because we did just get a weather update on this one here. Again, we go over to our friend over at Roto Grinders there, Kevin Roth, is obviously the DFS weatherman. He says it's pretty likely that there's going to be rain early in the game here. He doesn't know if it means there's going to be a delay, but he says I'd put it as a play with eventual delay is the likely outcome. So now for hitters, that's usually safer. They get delayed, they sit for a little bit, they come back out, they play. Maybe knocks down Cutter Crawford out of the player pool for me. Given sort of that update, there was the initial report he had it. Maybe the rain was going to miss the stadium, be a little bit further west, but now it's seeming like rain is going to hit this game there. So something to at least watch. And the same thing for the Giants. Now he's updated that one as well. Says there could be some spotty showers. Doesn't think it's going to be enough to stop the game, but you never know with Washington. I mean, it rains and now you never know with them. So just 2 things to keep an eye on when it comes to that one there. I do like Jonah Heim against Gonsolin tonight at 47.
Sure.
A guy that's a spend up there. If you're looking to come down a little bit, and then Kybert at 35. I don't know if you mentioned him or not, but gets Alex Wood here. Nobody ever talks about Kybert Ruiz. He's a forgotten man in the Nationals lineup there, but he hits 5th, has some power, so you can get him in your lineup if you're looking to play some Nats tonight.
Yeah, I don't know why you thought I'd mention him, because I definitely would never. Why would anybody?
Yeah.
Hits in 6 straight. Why would anyone ever mention that guy?
Yeah. So nobody thinks about Kybert. He's like, again, so many other players in that lineup. So it could be a good opportunity to get him in there and play him there tonight. So moving on over to first base. So this is where it gets interesting, because there's a lot of value at first base tonight. Like I had to restrain from putting as many guys as I did in the first place at first base. Right. So Matt Olson's your top guy, 100% clear cut. Peralta, he's $6,400. They're in Milwaukee. You like all of it. He is the spend up. Don't really. You can play the other guys if you want. For me, it's Matt Olson. He's the spend up here.
Correct.
And then I go all the way down. Nathaniel Lowe's at $3,800. I think he's a mid-tier play against Gonsolin here. I like Joey Meneses at $3,500 against Wood. I like Abreu against Sears. Abreu didn't make the playbook. He was a cut candidate here. Kept Meneses in. Wilmer Flores has been as hot as anybody in baseball. $3,100 for him. And Encarnacion Strand, now a first base eligible play, $3,000 for him at first base. I liked him. And then there was one more, Kirilloff down here, $2,200 hitting third tonight. At first base. So there's a lot of value at the first base position this evening.
The only thing I will say is a lineup note. No Wilmer Flores, unfortunately, tonight. Which, again, it's like, why? Like, they're DHing Jock Peterson tonight. Why would we not just play Wilmer Flores? If you want to get him a day off, get him a half day off. He's literally one of the hottest hitters in baseball. Why do we need a day off? But I digress. They know more than us, apparently. I like everyone else that you mentioned. Obviously, Kirilloff is hard to ignore at 2,200 in the split advantage against Lance Lynn. Like everything we said about Lynn positively, we could say negatively.
Right.
Kirilloff's homered in 3 of his last 5 games. He's done a lot of damage against right-handed pitching, and he's literally free. I would say Kirilloff is most likely your play, and you alluded to this earlier when you're playing 2 spend-ups at pitcher.
Yeah, you play Framber and Ohtani tonight. You're plugging a $2,200 Kirilloff in your lineup. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. So, but it doesn't take away from the other guys that we mentioned. Like I said, CES against Henry in Cincinnati tonight. Like that's a great spot for him there. I wish he was sitting a little bit higher in the order, but I'm expecting Cincinnati to do a lot of damage. So is Vegas. They have a high implied team run total here tonight. And then Meneses is a guy that, again, he's hitting cleanup. He's on fire. I feel like I play more Washington than anybody.
You do.
And this is another good spot against Alex Wood in Washington here. So.
Yeah, and Wood has been bad against righties. 199 ISO, 367 WOBA allowed, 55% hard contact rate. So I like it. Any
other first baseman you want to mention?
No.
Okay. Second base, again, gets a little hairy here, but Mookie Betts is the cover of the show. So Mookie Betts, as I mentioned, he is a guy that his numbers against left-handed pitching this year are insane. He has an over 400 isolated power number. He's got an over 700 slugging percentage against lefties. He's got an over 1,000 OPS. We know the power that he brings to the table here. 27 home runs already on the year. His last 10 games, including obviously the All-Star break there, 326 with 1,000 OPS and 4 homers. And Andrew Heaney, all 17 of his home runs allowed to right-handed bats. So for me, Mookie Betts at second base, there's so much value that you can spend up at pitching and fit in a Dodger stack tonight. So I do like Mookie Betts at 6,300 as my top guy.
I know this game has a 9.5 implied run total, and like that's pretty good. But like this game feels like there could be 15, 16 total runs. Just like
we talk about Gonsolin's sabermetric stats, it's all regression right there. Like could easily get hammered. So.
And also interesting that the Dodgers, I mean, we knew they were going to hit lefties eventually, but like they were so bad earlier in the year, and now they're just the best in the league. So.
Yeah.
If you're not playing bets, like other side of this game, you could obviously play Marcus Semien. He hasn't been great, but he has homered in 2 of his last 4 games overall.
Yeah. In the mid-tier range, I like Dubon here at 41. I think that's a pretty good spot if you're looking to play Houston here tonight. Peraza leads off for the Yankees at $3,200, but as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Edward. There's no doubt. Edouard Julien, $3,100, hitting second here tonight against Lance Lynn was the plug. If you're not playing bets, you're playing Julien for me.
Yeah, literally the only thing he does is strike out a lot. He has a big 31% strikeout rate against righties.
That's the team.
Right? Yeah, he could hit a home run and strike out 3 times, and you're still obviously he pays off in gold because he hits a home run. I mean, he's hitting 567 over his last 10 games.
It's actually upsetting they took away Mookie Betts' second outfield eligibility because it means I can't play both.
Yeah, you have to play one or the other.
Have to pick one. But as you mentioned, last 10 games for this dude, 567 or 1,000 slug.
It's insane.
So yeah, again, good luck, Lance Lynn. I don't know. I don't know. It's actually kind of why I felt like this stack fit a little bit of the Braves better. Obviously not using Kirilloff, but I'm not going to play Albies. Allows me to play Julien in that. So third base, Austin Riley's 53.
I will say just real quick, the Reds guys at second, I'd be interested in. I know they have one of the highest implied run totals today, 5.8 runs, and that game has a 10.5 implied total. Tommy Henry has been bad against both split, and that's why we see Joey Votto tonight in the lineup. He's kind of been bad against lefties, but 172 ISO for righties, 324 WOBA. India 4-game hit streak. McLean against lefties this year, 333 ISO leads the team, 447 WOBA.
India's still really struggling against lefties on the year, just a 215 batting average. For a guy that hit lefties really well his rookie year.
Yep.
Not so much this year. Not able to touch them. So 4,800 for India, probably not for me. I could see McLean, but to me they feel a little bit expensive. There's some other reds that I like tonight if we wanted to go in that direction. Third base has a couple of them. Steers 47. That guy's hammering lefties, and then if you feel like inclined, Ellie is up at $6,500. But I like Riley and Devers a little bit more at the top. But if you're stacking Cincy, you're probably finding a way to get Ellie in the lineup.
Who's been worse, Steer or Ellie?
Ellie because of the price.
They've both been so disappointing. I agree on the Riley front though, because he just can't be stopped. He's just hitting home run after home run after home run. 4 home runs his last 3 games, and Peralta's allowed a ton of power this year. Specifically, 200 ISO allowed to both sides of the plate. So, like, if you want to attack Peralta, like, don't be afraid to do so because he's allowing so many home runs, and the Braves hit more home runs than anyone else. So, I like Austin Riley quite a bit here.
Alex Bregman as well in the mid-tier at $4,700. I think will play up a little bit well here. And then value, Candelario is 37. Senzel is 35. I like both of those plays. And Beatty, if that game goes off, $2,800 for him.
I love Candelario. He continues to be an amazingly underrated fantasy player. Homered again the last time we saw him. Second time in 3 games he's homered. You don't like Senzel 35? Is that interesting?
I mentioned Senzel. Yeah, I mentioned second. Him. Yeah. Again, a guy that hits lefties really well. He's not hitting the ball well. He doesn't really even play much right now, but
he's probably getting pinch hit for it as soon as the righty comes in. I mean,
the thing is, they did start Will Benson tonight, so Benson against the lefties in the lineup. So yeah, they'll either put Fraley, I think, is the one sitting out. So something to watch with him. But at least for the first couple of bats, he'll get in there against Henry. So I don't hate it. And like you said, Beatty is starting to heat up a little bit. Homers in 2 of the last 3. So it could be a spot for him. Shortstops.
Wait, Eugenio, bro. Eugenio, $2,800. 4 straight games, double-digit fantasy points, home runs, and
I forgot about him. He's in the playbook, and I forgot about him because there's so many. It's such a big slate.
I know,
such a big slate. There's so many players, but he is in the cheat sheet. That is there. So he's there. I like it. He's probably the only one on that team I'd play right now. Teoscar maybe too because it's a lefty, but they're not really good.
No, they are not.
Talk about a big sophomore slump by Julio Rodriguez this year. Fantasy killer for many. Now can I go to shortstop?
Fantasy killer for me. Yes, you may. Yes.
Shortstop. Corey Seager, $6,200.
Yeah.
Right? No arguments?
Yeah. I mean, there's
no arguments. No arguments. I agree. DraftKings pricing is wild. Like Trey Turner's like $3K. Bobby Witt is like $3K. They're all just free over on FanDuel. So if you're playing FanDuel, it's not going to cost you to play any of these things. Do you have any interest in spending up, though, on any of the other guys that are over here?
Bo Bichette is fine if you're being contrarian and playing Blue Jays. Adames is fine if you're playing.
Adames and Pena were the next 2 I was going to get to after the top guys. So,
but nothing else above, really.
I'm with you there. Adames and Pena for me are the 2 in this mid 4K range. I'd be looking to take a peek at. I also like CJ Abrams. I know it's a lefty, but Abrams is just hot. And if they knock Wood out, he'll eventually get an AB against a righty, I would imagine. He can steal some bags, has a little pop to him. So he's $3,300 there as well.
Yeah, I'd play. He has been better against lefties too. Like he was struggling earlier in the year. He's definitely been a little better against left-handed. That's an interesting game in general. Boy, the Nationals have been good against lefties lately. Holy cow!
Dude, I'm telling you. What's the ownership on the Nationals tonight? Is anybody playing them?
Because I am. No.
They're my stack. It's the Twins and the Nationals are my value stacks tonight. and then it's Dodgers, Braves are my top stacks.
Your 4 highest rostered stacks right now are Arizona and San Francisco on a tier by themselves.
Sure.
And then the Mets and the Reds.
Red Sox?
No, Reds. Mets and the Reds.
Oh, so it's Arizona by themselves, then the Mets, then the Reds.
No. Arizona and San Francisco.
Oh, Arizona, San Francisco. Got it.
Then the Mets and the Reds are the next tier.
Then
everybody else, pretty much.
I'll take that. Please look what happened when I got all those Braves that are under 10% the other day, right? Like, give
2% on for the Braves tonight, by the way.
2? You said 2?
Closer to 3 if you want to round up. But the first number is 2.
What?
As a team.
Against Peralta?
I mean, that's just people playing, not being able to afford Ohtani / Framber and the Braves.
Okay.
No one's also playing the Twins. So, like, Twins are very middle of the road in terms of rostership. So, like, where it makes it easy for us to play the Braves, it wouldn't make it easy for the field, because if they don't have the Twins, who's your other value stack? The 4, I guess the Giants would be the value stack in that instance.
The Nationals are all.
No, I know, but in terms of like looking at ownership and the way that it's playing out, the Giants are probably the field's value stack, right? Because nobody on the Giants is expensive. No one's playing Washington. No one's playing Minnesota. Apparently, no one's playing the Braves. No one's playing the Rangers. All the good offenses tonight.
Are people playing the Dodgers?
Yeah, they're getting they're right around Minnesota in terms of rostership. They're like both at like a 5% roster team. The third tier of ownership is Yankees Mariners. So
I guess I am just ridiculously contrarian tonight. Then I don't know. Like,
well, the Yankees ownership I think is baked in.
I'm not playing the Yankees hitters. I'm playing just Schmidt.
Right. I think that's what's baked into that ownership, the Schmidt all in all ownership. But Arizona, San Fran, Mets, Reds, Yankees, Mariners, Boston, Dodgers, Twins. There's like 15. The Nationals are like middle of the pack ownership.
Okay. Well, I guess either at the end of this night, I'm going to have a lot of dollar signs in my account, or I'm going to have so that's the way I guess that's just the way the
cookie crumbles. Nice.
Hey.
Nice. Nailed it.
Yeah, I got nothing else here at shortstop. Anything for you?
Chris Taylor, if you're playing Dodgers.
Oh, yeah, I didn't mention Taylor. I thought I did. But if I didn't, then yes, 100% Chris Taylor. He hit that grand slam like a couple weeks ago, and we're like, oh, of course, Chris Taylor's the one that did it.
Right. Of the 6 runs, the Chris Taylor grand slam was...
Yeah, played Freeman, played Bats, Chris Taylor grand slam. So.
Yeah, he still has monster numbers against lefties this year. 387 ISO, 371 WOBA. So
yeah, that's just what he. And we don't have to worry about Vargas anymore, right? So it's just like, we can just play him and slot him, and he's hitting 5th. Yep. See if there's any BVP against Heaney. 2 for 7 with a homer. So
no surprise, guy who allows home runs versus a guy who hits for power against lefties.
Yeah, hilarious. All right, outfield. Again, this is where you and I sometimes we talk about like, the playbook. There's 45 outfielders, and it's like, it's an 11-game slate. So what do you want from me? Acuna, Tucker, Carroll were the top 3 outfielders in my playbook today. Don't really think there needs to be much expansion on why. They're elite, and they're in great matchups. So bing, bang, boom. Next tier for me was Martinez and Yelich. In that group, again, Yelich just keeps on being ridiculous. Yep. For him, he had 4 homers the last 10, stolen base, 14 and 21 on the year. JD Martinez is just the righty power versus Heaney. Due for a home run. 4 homers the last 10 for him, 933 OPS. He's there. We like Lane Thomas for the Washington stack that no one's playing tonight against Wood at $4,800. And then after that, for me, it was just all value guys. Is there anybody in the mid tier though you want to discuss before I just quickly scroll by them all?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple names that are intriguing. I don't we just got the Arizona lineup. Lourdes Gurriel hitting 5th, playing he's DHing tonight. Lively's allowed a lot of power. Arizona getting a lot of rub in terms of ownership. Again, 5.5 implied runs. They're very popular. Lourdes has been really, really, really good against righties this year. 250 ISO, 341 WOBA. So you could definitely get to Gurriel at 4,500. I definitely think you can get to Michael Harris, 42 for your wraparound Brave stack. And then, I mean, I know it's hard to like Angels when you can't use Ohtani. But the one thing Johan Oviedo has struggled with this year specifically is left-handed bats. So Mickey Moniak once again hitting 3rd. And John, the numbers are still what they are. He still has a better ISO than Shohei Ohtani, albeit 0.001%, but 355 isolated power against righties. Still has a better WOBA than Shohei Ohtani, albeit better by 0.006. But 450 WOBA is elite. Yeah. So he's in the midst of an incredible stretch, hitting 395 over his last 10 games. He's hitting 330 on the year. Like, y'all must have forgot I was the number 1 overall pick some time ago. Like, I don't know, hitting 3rd behind Ohtani has obviously led to some fruitful at-bats for Moniak. So I largely agree where I'm just shuffling down to the value tier as well. But I think, like, as a one-off, Mickey Moniak makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I like Harrison Moniak for sure. I like Jaron Duran if that game plays off as well at 4K. Gonna be an interesting spot for him there. But then we move down under them. Chas McCormick against Sears at $3,700, hammering left-handed pitching. We talked about Senzel. Conforto's down here at $3,500. The Rangers guys are down here. Duran, Leotis, Teoscar down here as well. Yastrzemski down here. If you like those Giants, as you mentioned, a highly rostered stack tonight because they're cheap too, right? $3,200, $3,500 for their outfield tonight. We did just get some news here. Willie Castro scratched for the Twins, so we'll see if a righty gets added to that lineup or if they find a new lefty. It
was a righty. I think it was Donovan Solano.
Solano put in there, so you got a righty now in the lineup, but maybe good for the line. I don't know. Jake McCarthy's hitting 6 tonight. It's good to see.
Yeah, it's good.
Against Lively there at 3K. Really good spot for him there. Alec Thomas, $2,900. Stone Garrett's $2,800. Alex Call's $2,700. Max Kepler is $2,600. Moving on down a little bit more here. Wallner. Wallner's hitting 5th. He's in the playbook tonight, Mark. Got a home run already.
Martin Wallner.
Yeah.
Martin Wallner.
Yeah, he got the name almost right. He used the right first initial.
He did use the right first initial. The name though is, Martin. Matt.
Can't win them all. This guy did have a 28% strikeout rate at AAA.
Sure did.
So again, Lance Lynn strikeout upside certainly in play tonight. But he also has 1,000 OPS at the AAA level too. So like power at 2K, hitting 5th tonight, Matt Wallner. So there's just so much value on this slate. You and I kind of go back and forth on these big slates too, right? Some days you're like, I'm playing light, too many combinations, right? And I'll play like a 3 max, or sometimes I'll get a little crazy and throw like 10 lineups in the $4 or something like that to get exposure. But it's a lot of different ways to go here. That's why I got like 6 stacks in the playbook tonight. A couple of value stacks, some top stacks that I like here. So we got about 10 minutes left in the show. We already talked about our stacks, or at least I did. I like the Dodgers and Braves as my top. I like the Nationals and the Twins as my value. Where are you sitting with your top stacks tonight?
After seeing ownership, and I know this is going to bite me in the ass because I'm going to play the Braves and they're not going to do anything because that's just how it goes for me. When I play the Braves,
probably going to have 13 strikeouts tonight.
13 strikeouts. Yeah. 13 strikeouts, shutout, no doubt. Or it's going to be like a home run from Orlando Arcia, right? Just like, I'm going to go with the Braves if they're going to be 2% owned. Kind of how your reaction was to that. Mine was internal because I saw it. Like, I was reading it like, what the heck am I reading?
Yeah.
And I'm okay fading the Giants at damn near like double-digit ownership when they're only one of two teams getting double-digit ownership tonight. Right. Obviously not a good environment like they've been in. Like it's not Great American anymore for the Giants. So
Right.
I'll go Braves as my top stack only because not only because they're the best offense in baseball, but they're being vastly underrepresented. Even in a recent update, okay? It was 2.6% owned before. Recent update, 2.8%. No one's playing these guys. No one's playing them. So,
Yeah. Get your home run call.
Austin Riley homers for the fourth straight game.
Okay. Mookie Betts was my home run call in the best bets article today, plus 280. So we'll run that.
You know what? I'll do that. I went with the better betting show. I went with plus 300 for Teoscar Hernandez. So I'll do that.
Teoscar Hernandez is plus 300 to homer today.
Dude, I'm telling you, he gets these odds when there's lefties on the mound. He has insane home run. He had a 400 ISO last year for an entire season. He has a 270 ISO this year against lefties.
He just sucks.
I mean, he hasn't been great, but he has insane numbers against lefties. What's
Eugenio's home run prop at tonight?
It was like 400. It was like plus 400. I was going to take his and then...
Right? Yeah, I feel like you have a little better...
He has not been good. He has not been great against lefties like he was last year.
Sure. Betts again. Betts is plus 280. So I went with Betts on the best bets today. So that's where I'm at with that. What's your value play of the day?
Value play overall? I mean, it's hard to not go Clark Schmidt as like an overall value. So I'll go Clark Schmidt as my value play of the day.
I'm running Kepler out there. Homers in 2 of 3, 3 straight 2-hit games. Give me the Max Kepler experience here. Gallo in India or Steer and Julian here today? I'm going Steer and Julian.
Yeah, it's really hard to play Gallo right now.
I mean, you want to talk about a guy that can go 1 for 5 with 4 strikeouts and a home run tonight? That's Joey Gallo.
It's true.
But Julian is the hottest hitter of the 4. Yes. So I'd rather get Julian in my lineup and hope Steer can figure it out tonight against Henry.
I mean, dude, Gallo's been so bad. Even in these games, he's 120 over his last 10 games. When are we going to end this thing? I know he has 17 home runs in the year, but is that good? Is that good enough to? There's a reason why a Joey Gallo-led team has the highest strikeout rate in baseball, right?
They traded Miguel Sano for Joey Gallo, same player.
I mean, honestly, what Sano was
supposed to be so good. It's so sad the guy never figured out a strike zone. So,
and then couldn't play third base. It was double whammy. Couldn't play third couldn't play third base.
Yeah. All right, let's build our lineup here. We got a couple of minutes left for everybody here in the show. Do you want to try the double spend again, or do you want to go Schmidt Ohtani?
Let's go Schmidt. I think we'll like our stack at the end of our builds at the end of this.
All right.
We'll be able to afford a lot of things.
So we have to commit then. What stack are we doing? Are we doing Braves, Dodgers?
I mean, you want to play Betts, right?
I do.
Then we're playing Mookie Betts.
Okay.
For sure.
If that's the case, then we're spending down then at first base.
Kirilloff, yep. Goat, as some would say.
We're going to try, I guess, Will Smith.
If we want to play Dodgers top half of the lineup, Chris Taylor makes a lot of sense. 3K, right? At either short or third. I don't know.
There's no third baseman. We were playing for Minnesota, so. Shortstop. We had...
Well, Kepler in the outfield, right? Kepler is your value play.
Spell his name right. Kepler. 4,300 a play.
We're on a pretty good pace here. JD Martinez 52. Yep, that's what I was going to.
We have so much money left. The Twins let you get everybody. It doesn't make any sense.
I know. You could do Wallner and then just spend.
Actually, could we join it? Let's see. Hold on.
Oh no, he can't get Seager with Wallner. 300 off.
Hold on.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. 2 L's.
They spell Wallner. Is it 2 L's?
2 L's.
There you go. All right, so we got.
Love it.
If we wanted to do something like this,
let's go.
It's doable. right?
Yep. Do you want to just build double? Do you want to build double spend?
Um,
Show the people what they're missing, not double spending.
Double spend.
$100 off Stone Garrett.
I say I'm $100 off Stone. Oh, that's, do I want to get off Will though?
No,
Probably
not
not.
if you're playing. Not if you're playing Dodgers already.
Right. I mean, I could just one off Mookie.
And then just pivot off Taylor as well.
I mean, if we did Kybert,
could do Kybert. That's a good pivot, especially if this is a Washington themed show. And then shortstop, you get just the problem is, or you do Bregman or Steer at third.
I like the.
Oh no, I'm thinking. I forgot Candelario was in the lineup.
Mookie. Yeah, I had Candelario in there, but we could flip this around. I mean, we could still keep Taylor at short.
No, you're right. Because if you're playing you want to.
I mean, this is just a 5-6 stack for
Washington.
So.
And Candelario
5,800. I mean, if you didn't want to go all in on Minnesota, I mean, you could obviously go up here. You know, there's Stone.
McCarthy.
I have some guy in the lineup there. Washington. What am I missing here?
You're looking for Washington?
Oh, this is what's
Alex Call?
Am I?
You have teams select. You have.
Oh, the S was throwing me off.
I had to have something selected.
I had an S selected, and it was really breaking my brain here for a moment. It was embarrassing to watch that process play out. I still want Kepler. I think I'd rather Kepler over Wallner here.
Agreed.
But that doesn't really get me much else. So we could also just sit with $500 left over.
Yeah, you don't have to spend the 500 beans.
Get a Betts Riley one-offs. Still keeps our Minnesota stack intact.
Yeah.
Gets us a little Washington exposure and a double spend up. So here's just a look at what we can do here, guys. Man stares at the screen. Stay tuned. Yes, Mark. I was trying to figure out what was wrong. Where was your help? I needed you. All right, so the playbook's out. We'll be in the Discord. If you have any questions, find us there. Get us on Twitter as well. You see our Twitter handles here. Follow us on Twitter if you're not already. Like and subscribe to the show if you haven't done already. Really helps us out with the channel and everything we're doing there. If you're not yet a Fantasy Alarm member, now's the time to join. It's $19.98 a month for the first 6 months with promo code MLB50. That's 50% off for the first 6 months. They'll take you right through the NFL season. So you'll get all of our content for $20 a month through the NFL season. Includes our DFS content. Last year, 2 years ago, we had a millionaire winner.
Yep.
A guy took down the FanDuel million, a single bullet FanDuel million entry there, Millionaire Mike. So our NFL DFS content fire led by Howard Bender there. So get involved now, just $20 a month, fantasyfarm.com/all-pro. Promo code MLB50 gets you access to everything we got on site, and it gives you our Fantasy Alarm draft guide, which is free. It's online, updated as news breaks, and all that other good stuff there. So have a good weekend, everybody.